Okay, I think we're good. We might... Finally. Oh, nice. Siege. Operation Phantom Sight has just dropped today, and, it's been a while since I've taken an updated Siege. Last update I did... I want to say Blood Orchid DLC? The Blood Orchid update? I tried streaming the next update after that, but apparently it did not go through onto YouTube. And pretty much throughout all of Year 4 and the beginning of Year 5, I have not had a chance to stream, because through that time I was in school, so I didn't get to check out the new operators. Now, though, we have finally managed to... I'm back home, in my own place, and I tried to stream this. Lord help me, I tried. But it just kept cutting out after every 30 seconds or so. But now that it's stable, let's finally examine the new operators. Now, this is going to be a lot shorter than normal, because I know what the operators are, but I also know what the weapons are. So we don't have to go too much into weapons and stuff like that. All the weapons that we have for these operators are weapons that have already been in the game for a long time. So we don't have any new weapons to work with. Which is a bit weird, and in some cases kind of worrying, because it tells me that UB is kind of running out of ideas. So, as long as the weapons are good, and, you know, from what I've seen, for the most part they are, it's all that really matters. You know? As for my opinions on all the other operators that have come out since I last streamed, Dokkaebi and Vigil, I like them both. I think Vigil is the stronger operator of the two. He's a much better roaming character, in my opinion, than Kavera. Dokkaebi, you know, she's fine. I think she's not as powerful as she was back in the update. I think she needs a bit of a rework, honestly, but, you know, for what she is, she's good. As for the two attacking operators, Lion and Finka, I'm glad they nerfed Lion a bit, because I feel like his gadget was a bit too powerful. You know? It was just too powerful. Although his unique weapons and all that stuff are just... They were just kind of okay. They were just there. Finka, I think her gadget's really useful. Again, her weapons are okay, so she kind of is a bit more on the weaker side. When the defensive operators came out, I like Maestro a lot, even though I feel like he is a bit on the weak side. I like the Evil Eye gadget, even though it doesn't really do much in terms of damage. And I feel like, but I do like him, especially his weapons, and the fact that he's voiced by Clancy Brown. That's pretty cool. Alibi, she just doesn't cut it out for me. And after the update after that, I think Maverick's a really good operator. I think he's very strong. I think he has his niche. Clash, honestly the worst operator in the game for me. Like, even worse than Tachanka, because she's not meme worthy. As for the others, from the final ones from last year, Nomad and Cade are both pretty good. I think Cade's gadget is a little bit on the weak side, but his weapons are pretty strong. And I think Nomad's an all-around solid operator for the most part. And as for the two that got released beforehand, I honestly feel like Gridlock's pretty underwhelming. The trap sounded... The gadget sounded really, really unique. In execution, not so much. But Mulsey, that black's pretty good if I don't say so myself. He's got a raw proper gadget that pretty much changed the meta, and his weapons are pretty damn great for what they are, so... Mulsey's alright with me in my book. Anyways, first up, Knock from the Jaeger Corps. Yeah, that's not creepy mysterious at all. Essentially, Knock is meant to be the attacker's version of a roamer. Vigil, Kavera, that sort of thing. Her weapons are the FMG-9, which Smoke already uses, and I think the FMG-9 is fine. It works for what it is, personally, and I think for an operator like Smoke, it works well. I just don't think it's one of the best SMGs in the game. And the SX-12SD shotgun, which is for Legion, which in my opinion is pretty weak, all things considered. Maybe it'll be better for a stealth operator. I don't know. But there we go. And then the others are the 5.7 USG that the SWAT operators use, which is, you know, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I just prefer the 1911 myself, the M45, as it were. And I have no idea why you would give an operator who's got stealth a Desert Eagle. It makes no sense to me, but you know what? I am glad they gave it a more appropriate hard black finish rather than that stupid chrome finish it first came with back in. And that suppressor, though, oh my god, oh my goodness. Wow, that looks like something you would put on a Honda. I'm dead serious. In fact, I'm actually going to use this just because of how ridiculous an idea it is. We're going to start off with the SX-12 SD. Actually, stun grenades will work just fine. So, details and statistics. Yeah, but essentially she gets predator vision. And she can't be seen on a lot of cameras with the exception of, I think, Echo's Yokai drone is one of them. Something like that. Bio. Redacted. Knock. Jaeger Corps. Redacted. 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 Oh, God. The only thing I feel when I pull the trigger is recoil. Ah, yes! This famous quote. Us gun owners know it well, but there's this old story amongst us that there's a famous quote where a reporter was asking what a sniper felt when he pulled the trigger on all his missions, and the sniper replied, recoil? For reasons of national security and currently active missions, Nock's records are sealed at NATO confidential security clearance, but her files have been released to SIX. Nock enlisted at the Army NCO school in Sonderborg, then enrolled at the Royal Danish Military Academy, where she graduated the rank of First Lieutenant. With 4 deployments under her belt, Nock underwent additional special operations training, earning her Jägerkorps de Maroon Beret with skills in covert ops. Combat, search and rescue, direct action, special recon, Arctic warfare, and advanced breathing. Nock served in Afghanistan and Iraq, often alone and deep undercover behind enemy lines. She received commendations for eliminating hostile insurgents and surgical strikes responsible for uncovering Eric Maverick Thorne's location, forwarding that intel to the unit. Huh, I didn't know that. Nock keeps her identity hidden from all but her fellow operators. NATO's O&P Division records Nock for Rainbow's with Steve Cooper Specials. One of the things I actually do like, and that they started doing later in year 2, but it really did start in year 3, is I like these interconnected bios and backgrounds where every operator kind of knows another operator and all this sort of thing. It really does give this nice sense of camaraderie, and it's one of those background details that I appreciate, even if most people don't care about this except for weirdos like me. But hey, psychological report. When they loot me in on Nock's real identity, I cracked open her secret dossier with schoolboy glee. I love a good mystery, and I was not disappointed. Nock's real identity has been a prickly issue given the potential scandal should it ever be made public. Frankly, had I known who Nock's father was, I wouldn't have noticed the family resemblance, but it smacks you in the face when you know the truth. I wondered how Nock felt about this and how it influenced her upbringing. Nock tried to dismiss this one of the realities of the job, but eventually I learned enough to start painting a portrait. Nock's mother raised her, and the pair are close to the point of being best friends. It's almost tribal how protective they are of each other. Nock knew about her father and his family, but it took a while before the family knew about Nock. They tried to give Nock a better life, but without bringing her into the fold out of fear of courting a major scandal for the family. Nock is fiercely loyal to her mother, so I found it surprising Nock was loyal to her father. I have respect for the family name itself. You'd think there'd be some resentment there, but Nock is comfortable quietly serving queen and country and everything else. That falls under the umbrella. Her Darwinist outlook isn't rooted in her own safety, but rather the betterment of the soldiers of her unit and her country. Nock's way to keep a secret and maintain a facade is what makes her a highly capable undercover operative, but she is involved in an active mission. Fortunately, Nock's cover identity is currently in jail, building up credibility while giving us a credible opportunity to work with someone of alibi and bandit's caliber. I have no doubt Nock is a strong fit for Rainbow, and I hope we can use her to full extent for staying with us. Dr. Harishva Pandey. Training: Royal Danish Military Academy, Parachute Training, Patrol Corps, Survival, Escape, Evasion, Tactical Shooting, Training, Infiltration, Exfiltration Methods, Hey-Ho and Halo Training, FMK, Firarmen Arbset Training, ISTC, International Special Training Center, Sniper Courses, High Angle Shooting, Urban Sniper, Desert Sniper, Marine Sniper. Relevant experience, Operation Desert Snowplow, Task Force K-Bar, Operation Inherent Resolve, Operation Quiet Dusk, Operation Burning Fury. Notes. Since I was involved in coding specialist Chui Kyung Visual Hua's ERC-7 device, I was asked to provide specialist now for the next generation version. It was a little outside of my domain, but I love a challenge. I was inspired by my abilities as a hunter and stalker. The ERC-7 scans surrounding device to wipe the user's image from cameras and drones, but I decided to add a master meat space component using an active noise control used by our own specialist, Tina Caveira Pereira's Light Step. Please don't tell her I said that. The device, codenamed HEL Presence Reduction, was an anti-phase signal at the same time as the ERC-7 to create destructive interference mascot specialist Knox footsteps. It otherwise allows us to move relatively silently. However, like the ERC-7 does have its limitations, running or making a certain arm motions is going to give the system some troubles. It tries to sanitize the user's image from nearby cameras in real time until it can gather more data from tests in the field. Specialist Knox is as close to being a ghost as we can currently get. I see what you did there. By the way, I am excited for Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I was actually a really big fan of Wildlands, and while I'm not as interested in the story, I actually found the story of Wildlands really interesting, and I kind of like that narco state aspect of it. I'm really excited for the gameplay that Breakpoint has to offer. Plus, it's got John Bernthal in it, so cool. And then we get to Warden. Not gonna lie, when I first saw this guy, my thought immediately went to Commissioner Gordon from the Batman films. Although now that people have given me have said that he reminds them of Ned. Hell, Hostelinos! Hostage has been captured by OP4. Well, I'll be darned diddly darned. I can't unsee that now. There's something charming about that, though. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so for his weapons, we have the Mossberg 590A1 shotgun, which all the SAS operators use, which is probably my favorite shotgun in the game, even though I know its limits. Certainly my favorite pump action, so I'm probably just going to use that. The 6-hour MPX, which Valkyrie uses. It's a decent SMG. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It performs adequate enough. I might use it for maps that call for it. The P10C handgun that I think Clash uses. It's alright. It's not the best, not the worst. And then we've got the SMG-12 that the South Korean operators use. I use this for Vigil a lot, and I think it's a really effective SMG, all things considered. So we're just going to run through these stock, even though I know how they perform. Impact grenades and barbed wire. That'll be useful. So his special thing is that essentially those dad glasses he wears give him access to see through smoke, which is actually kind of interesting, and I actually really like that, considering that, I'm going to be honest, smoke grenade abuse and spam was really starting to become a problem in this game. So to have an operator that counteracts that is really nice to have. I always love when Ubisoft changes the meta like this to kind of and kind of, you know, dismiss a lot of tactics, not necessarily through nerfs, but just adding new stuff into it. I think that's really genius. I'm not gonna lie. Colin McKinley, Warden, Secret Service, March 18th, age 48, Louisville, Kentucky, 1.830 meters, 80 kilograms. I'm never unprepared. Colin McKinley's enrolled in the Marine Corps at 18 and earned several commendations as his service jacket for his aggressive, quick thinking, achieving Master Sergeant despite a few minor infractions on his record. After his third tour, he left the Marines and entered the Secret Service in close protection detail. McKinley's agility was instrumental in saving Secretary of State Baldwin's life when insurgents attacked the U.S. diplomatic junket. Baldwin later went on to win the U.S. presidential and requested McKinley to be assigned to the Presidential Protective Division. McKinley has spent over a decade in Washington protecting important political figures. He's the foremost expert in close protective detail, along with President and Baldwin finishing his second term. McKinley has received high endorsements for his transition to Rainbow Psychological Board. I've learned to read between the lines. When it comes to specialist Colin Warden McKinley, that's where the real story lies. His role as protector came easily to him between butting heads with his strict, hard-working father and defending his brothers at school, became more deeply ingrained during his tour with the Marines. His 3 tours with the Marines, I should say. McKinley's service with the Secret Service reads like a Washington gossip column spy novel. During the attack on the Secretary of State Baldwin, the attackers used flashbangs, smoke grenades, heavy suppressive fire to separate the protection detail. McKinley resolved the evacuation routes, but comrades evacuated Baldwin alone. The incident clarified the reason behind McKinley's special classes, but it's also become indicative of his modus operandi, his off-the-cuff attitude. He's never been wrong, and I fear he'll rely on instinct until it finally fails him. His access to the inner circle through the office of the president made him the go-to in handling delicate situations. He's clever enough to lead people on the right track without implicating himself, as despite he knows where a few bodies are buried. McKinley has amassed quite the war chest of political favors and reputation as a ladies' man. Girls just love the sexy Flanders mustache. President Baldwin had once told me that McKinley's alliance is eclipsed that of some presidential administrations. The First Lady was displeased with that joke. Kennedy's looking on from this guy with a graven cleanse like, damn, I wish I could have gotten away with that in my office. He knows how to manipulate. He deepens his Kentucky drawl when dealing with Republican senators and plays the Southern gentleman around women. I was amused watching him try to play to my personality. But I played the game too. McKinley adores his teams and he works well with others, but his connection to the Oval Office is instilled with a sense of invulnerability. McKinley has made many enemies among politicians, businessmen, and lobbyists. He is a walking encyclopedia of their sins, and President Baldwin won't be around to protect him anymore. He's the sort of non-traditional approach we need to keep the military and law enforcement more agile and surgical, someone who understands coordination on a large scale. Unfortunately, it means I owe President Baldwin a 25-year-old single malt scotch for recommending McKinley. He's insufferable when he's right. I like this guy already. Marine School of Infantry, Assault Marine Specialist, Basic Underwater Demolition Sapper Training CQB, FLETC, Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, CITP, Criminal Investigator Training Program, JJRT, James J. Rowley Training Center, Control Tactics Marksmanship, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, SOS Ball Attack. Specialist Elena Maria Alvarez, Rainbow R&D Director. Huh. Specialist McKinley has been a nuisance. He keeps asking for different styles for his smart glass, but I work on the lens themselves. I don't do designer frames. Specialist McKinley's experience of coordinated attack against that Secretary of State Baldwin was the cast with the first generation of smart glasses. He was ambitious, and he must have pulled a few tricks against prototypes built, but they lacked refinement. They wanted a thorough capacity. Polarized lenses still added more weight than thickness than necessary. Specialist Weiss and I opted for a different approach, and we managed to construct digitally enhanced glasses. The principle is simple. The sensors scan the environment through smoke, digitally moving the occlusion, while virtual retinal displays its images to the back of the user's eye. The scan lag and transmission requires them to stand still, however. When active, the Verret display can also clear flash effects on overwhelmed photoreceptors through near-infrared light to boost the mitochondria's production of ATP. Specialist Lyra Finka Melnikova rightly suggested this would allow Specialist McKinley's eyes to recover more quickly from their effects. Unfortunately, he must manually activate the glass for them to work. A drawback of the battery turned into smart glasses, but it's a first step. Alright. Now that everything is done... Oh yeah, there's also new shop thing, but... You know... Let's go into Terrorist Hunt. Now, for those of you who watch my videos, don't know why, but for those of you who don't, let me explain why I go into Terrorist Hunt. There's always been this toxic culture around Siege. I'm not going to lie when I say that. I'm not going to mince words. I'm not going to, you know, sugarcoat anything. Siege has had a toxic environment amongst a lot of its players. And unfortunately, when it comes to the new operators, that becomes more realistic. So I don't go into multiplayer because I know I'm not going to be able to pick the operators. And at least back in the early days of the game, the dark days of this game, when you picked an instantly. So obviously that's no longer the case now that Ubisoft's cracking down on intentional team killing, but still, for the sake of transparency, I always go to Terrorist Hunt because it gives me a vacuum to test these operators in. Maybe not an accurate vacuum, considering that Terrorist Hunt and multiplayer are two separate, completely different beasts altogether, but a vacuum nevertheless. So, with all that said, let's test these operators out. No vote. Oh, they changed the operator screen, too. Oh, yes! They added in a randomizer! They added in a random operator select! Thank you! Thank you, Ubisoft! I always love using random hero selection in Overwatch, and me and my friends have always wanted this kind of thing, and even though they did it back then, the fact that there is finally an option in game where you can roll the dice, that's just great. And I like using it because you know what? It gives a lot of variety to the to the game. You know, because let's be honest here, I like using my mains, but sometimes it can get boring. You want to spice things up a bit. You want to use an operator you're not familiar with. You want to do all that good stuff. So having the option to randomize your selection, it's really nice. I'm not gonna lie. Whoa! All right, the enemies can still see you. Hang on. Holy shit! That is a, yeah, you know you're dealing with a powerful weapon when even suppressed, it still sounds like that. And yeah, I know that suppressors do not sound that way in real life unless you are using subsonic rounds, and even then it's not the the soft whisper quiet cat softly landing on a pillow that Hollywood likes to portray it as, but, you know, I mean, unless it's designed from the ground up to be integrally suppressed, then yeah, there's a bit more sound deadening. But you can't just slap any old suppressor onto a gun and just expect it to be like Bond and silently pick off enemies from the shadows one by one. That's just not how they work in real life. They're only there to basically just protect your hearing. And the day they become legal is going to be a great day indeed, but unfortunately we've got an idiot in the house going, I just don't like them, so we should just get rid of all of them. While his idiot morons go, no, he's playing my 5D chess! Anyways, enough politics. That's probably the only time I'm going to get overly political, but I care a lot about my Second Amendment rights. I live in California, so I mean, mine are already gone, but that doesn't mean other people have to suffer. Oh, shit. There we go. Still always hate these suicide bombers. Oh, shit. Yep, there we go.
Eliminated all friendlies.
Again. It's not so much a matter of... Ah, I see. Again, it's kind of like Vigil, where even if you manage to disable yourself from all the electronics, people can still see you on a physical level. Can still see you in person. God damn it. Is my stutter not getting any better? Oh, look at that! Protect hostage. Yeah, I'm just doing one match of each character just to get an idea of how they perform. Not because they have weapons that I've already used. There's no point in doing multiple matches to test out all the weapons. I already know how all these weapons perform, so it's just a matter of getting familiar with them, using their gadgets as normal, that sort of thing. Which I am more than okay with.
Reinforce the area. Hostiles regrouping.
Alright, so... Oh, we're in the vault. Ugh, that's not good. I guess I'll just reinforce this wall, and reinforce the one next to it. That's all I can do for now.
Keep the hostage safe. Hostiles approaching.
Probably should have slapped a laser sight on this, but whatever. Oh, I see it. You can, again, unlimited uses, but it kind of drains pretty quick. I'm kind of glad that it does, though, considering that if it were to not drain as quick, it'd probably be OP as fuck. Oh, that's kind of interesting. The run animations are different. Okay, I don't know about you, but it seems like they've increased the effectiveness of the shotgun's range. I don't remember it being able to do that much damage from that far away. Maybe to make shotguns more viable in PvP compared to the SMGs? Possible.
Hostiles took down the hostage.
Oh yeah, I forgot how strong the recoil was on this. There we go.
We revived the hostage.
Whoa. Come on.
Hostiles neutralized.
There we go.
Hostiles regrouping.
Yeah, as
Secure
you
the
can
hostage.
tell, I'm a lot better of a defender than I am an offensive person, and Jesus Christ, I forgot how strong the recoil was on this. Thankfully, they added in new grips. I don't think they did that back when Dokkaebi and Vigil were released. You just had to deal with the recoil and suck it up. So, I'm glad that Ubisoft has added the ability to
Hostile
add grips to
insertion.
this,
Prepare to engage.
SMG. And they changed the run animation significantly. Like, really significantly. Like, look at that. He's basically just turning the entire gun over on its side like you would expect when you're actually running with a shotgun. Again, these little attentions to detail are what I really appreciate. I'll just wait for them to use a smoke grenade. By the way, if you guys haven't seen The Happening, find some clips on YouTube, because that shit is hysterical. Oh, Mark Wahlberg's performance in that film is the stuff of legends. Shit. Ned Flanders will not die! There we go.
Hostiles regrouping. Secure the area.
Again, I'm surprised that this thing only can hold 7 shots. Normally on a Mossberg 590 with this kind of tube, you can fit 8 plus 1 in the chamber. And this is meant to be based on a full-length military 590, mind you. I like the Mossberg 590. I like it better than the Remington 870. The only reason I do is because it doesn't have a loading gate on the bottom. And I know some gun people are like, oh, but the loading gate is so useful. Well, I've always found that it just kind of pinches my fingers, so to get rid of that, I mean, yeah, you've got the possibility of dirt and other stuff getting up in the magazine too, but it's a shotgun. As long as it cycles reliably and it blows a giant hole into anything that it's pointed at, I'm okay with it. In fact, that's all you should expect from any guns. You shouldn't expect it to be pretty. You shouldn't expect it to be, you know, fancy or cool or have all the latest gigas and gizmos and this and that. All you can expect is it comfortable to use? Does it cycle reliably the first time, every time? And does it effectively take out do the job you ask for it?
Mission failed.
If the answer to those
All
questions
friendlies
are
were
yes, and you know what? That's all there is. Ooh, headshot. Yeah, too bad I didn't get they weren't popping smoke grenades left and right. It's kind of disappointing. I was really hoping for that sort of thing to come to pass. I was really hoping to get to test out the gadget a little bit more, but what can you do? Again, Terrorist Hunt is not the most effective way to judge these new operators, but it at least gives me a taste for what they are. So, what do I think of these operators? They're both interesting. I think the idea of a roamer on offensive is a little bit, it's got its issues. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it's a bit too limiting of a role. But as far as Warden goes, just based on the concept alone, he could be really good as a great defensive operator. Like, really good. He could probably be like a vital must pick operator in some cases. Because his weapons are pretty decent, and his gadget, you know, it drains a little bit too fast, but you know what? The utility of it more than makes up for it. So, I'm actually kind of excited to see how these operators develop and where we go from here. But anyway, guys, that's it for Rainbow Six Siege. If you like this video, go to my YouTube channel, where I have all my previous Rainbow Six live streams posted for all the previous updates. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Actually, I'll see you guys later today when I am going to play back through Resident Evil 2 the remake. So, take care, everybody, and I'll see you later.